Thebes had been a long-standing and steadfast Spartan ally. Located in the region known as Boeotia, Thebes was a geographically strategic ally during the Peloponnesian War, and Sparta used Thebes to conquer Athens. But unbeknownst to Sparta, Thebes used the war to become steadily stronger and wealthier.
Any wealth that is found in the countryside is carted off by the Thebans. Furthermore, in the course of the war, the Thebans begin to feel their oats as a military power, and they are able to unite Boeotia.
The Thebans also used the waning days of the war to create a new, stronger kind of government.
While all the Peloponnesian War has been going on, there's been a miraculous revolution in Thebes, where a very conservative rural yeomanry has suddenly created a democratic society which has involved all of their population.
The thought of a democratic Thebes so close to Athens was a terrifying prospect for the Spartans. When they caught wind of what was brewing among their allies' citizenry, Sparta did what was apparently their one and only form of foreign policy.
The Spartans, rather than mollifying the Thebans and sharing power with the Thebans, go for the jugular and attempt to turn Thebes into a Spartan client, to squelch Theban democracy and to destroy Theban independence.
Sparta has these very brutal attacks on Thebes and tries to overthrow the government. There creates a backlash, and that backlash doesn't stop with anti-Spartanism. It creates a democratic groundswell, and there is created a national Theban army of 10,000 hoplites who are in physical ability, training, and strategic thinking every bit as effective as a Spartan army, and they're angry at Sparta.
The Theban army was under the command of Epaminondas, a man who was greater than anyone before him, and who would have the single greatest impact on the future of Sparta.
He was a great general who contrives tactics that had never been used before.
In the beginning, King Agesilaus of Sparta was undaunted, and he was able to keep an oligarchy in place. But with every battle that Agesilaus won, Sparta was losing something very important.
In the long run, what he ends is stripping Spartan resources, losing a substantial number of Spartan men in battle, and helping to train the Thebans in the new order of battle that would emerge in this new age. He shows some real talent. He's militarily extremely astute. He shows some real political talent. But Agesilaus doesn't seem to pay attention to the really basic notion of Spartan statecraft, and that is, don't fight the same enemy too often. Don't let them learn your tricks.
Epaminondas not only learned Sparta's tricks, he figured out how to fight back and win.
They engaged the Thebans far too many times, and they had the misfortune of dealing this time with a rising military power that was every bit as tough, but was now adopting new and very effective military tactics.
Epaminondas had another powerful weapon at his disposal: Athens. Since the ousting of the 30 tyrants in 403 BC, the Athenians had slowly but surely rebuilt their fleet, trained a new generation of citizen soldiers, and developed a stronger democracy.
It's profoundly ironic that its defeat by Sparta in the Peloponnesian War was one of the best things that happened to Athens, if you look at it from the standpoint of democracy. Because after the bloody oligarchy that the Spartans had established, democracy in Athens was there to stay.
Athens was an important ally of Thebes throughout the first bloody decade of the 4th century BC. Thebes also built strong alliances with Argos and Corinth to form a united front against Sparta.
Now, this is the really key one, Corinth, because Corinth was the key member, the single key member of the Peloponnesian League. For it to defect and go over to the Athenian, Boeotian, Theban, and Argive axis was a really severe statement and a really severe blow.
In 379 BC, an uprising successfully removed the Spartan oligarchy from Thebes.
When the Thebans were able to overthrow this regime in 379, the new regime was dedicated more than anything else to get Sparta. And there were so many other states who now hated the Spartans for other reasons that they were able to get assistance in the doing of it.
The list of Spartan defectors grew. If a city-state didn't hate Sparta for being imperialistic, or hegemonic, or brutal, they hated them for a new reason. There was a growing sense among Sparta's few remaining allies that Spartiates won wars because they were willing to sacrifice allied troops, but not themselves.
When they had coalition warfare, they were pretty clearly going to fight on the right wing, no matter what. Now, that meant that the enemy, who also put their crack troops on their right wing, would not be facing the Spartans. And so in a series of battles, the Spartans were usually fighting the inferior troops of the enemy. And often we see this strange series of events where allies that fight among each other have more tension than the enemy across the battlefield. So if you want to get rid of some of your suspicious allies, you put them on the left wing, and the Spartans were notorious for doing that.
It was profoundly ironic that the city-state that was the most insular, the most anti-imperialistic, and the most unwilling to fight unless absolutely necessary, was now fighting all over the known world to maintain its control. It all came to a head at Leuctra, in the region of Boeotia.
Partly because they have been oppressed by the Spartans, partly because they have worked with the Spartans and learned from them, and partly because they have a remarkable generation of leaders. Talk about your greatest generation. The Thebans finally pull off the inconceivable. They defeat a Spartan army in a hoplite battle.
In 371 BC, the Spartans returned to a newly democratic Thebes for one more attempt at a takeover. They were met on a plain near Leuctra by Epaminondas, his elite 300 warriors of the Sacred Band, and a massive allied troop force. Thebes also had radically new tactics that would challenge the Spartan phalanx.
First thing that Epaminondas did was he put his best troops on the left, and that had a number of ramifications. It meant that the battle would be a head-to-head among the elite contingents. Epaminondas would not be killing Peloponnesian allies. He would be killing Spartans. He would be telling his own allies, you're not going to have to face the Spartans. We're going to face the Spartans.
The Spartan army was not only defeated, it was destroyed. More than 70% of its troops that fought in the battle were dead.
Two main reasons why Sparta loses the key battle of Leuctra. One is its inflexibility, the fact that it's unwilling to or unable to respond to innovations, for example, deepening the line, new special forces, new equipment, and so on. But the other is simply numbers.
The Spartans don't have enough men anymore. They simply don't have the 9,000 men that they had been able to fight with in the Persian Wars. They don't have the 5,000 men that they fought with in the Peloponnesian Wars. They're down to a handful of full Spartans. The ones that are left fight well, there's just not enough of them.
Epaminondas simply bowled the Spartans over. They killed 700 of them, which they could ill afford to lose, and they discredited the entire idea of Spartan military invincibility. And then most importantly, Epaminondas did not see that as the end of things, but as the beginning.